Welcome to Clash of Health. Thanks for being here today. It is December 27th, 2025, and wanted to do a video, which I'm doing, that foretells possibly some of the themes for 2026. And these tenants that came through to me both came through in an intuitive space and also in a separate space when I went into the Akashic records. So the first 13 I'm going to read came through to me, excuse me, a few days ago when I was just sitting trying to tap into 2026. And then the last 10 came through today in the Akashic record. The year before last, in 2023, as I was going into 2024, I asked what word defines this year. And the word that came through was having compassion. The next year, which was last year, this last year, the word that came through was fortitude. And the word that comes through for 2026 is change. So 20 the theme of 2024 was compassion. The theme of 25 was fortitude, and 26 for me that came through the word was change. So here goes. Here are the 13 that came through when I was sitting, meditating, asking spirit for guidance as I and whoever's listening to this traverses into this next year, which, by the way, is if you look at numerology, 2026 adds up to a 1 year. So if you add 6 and 2, it's 8. With 2, it's 10, which you drop down to a 1. So we're going into a 1 year. What does that mean? For the collective, that means we're entering a space of a new cycle, a new 9-year cycle. So this cycle started that we're coming to completion right now back in 2017 through this 2025, and then 2026 starts another 9-year cycle. And I've really given this theme of numerology and cycles and 1 year a lot of thought because I think as a collective, it's a 1 year cycle. But for many of us, it could be a different iteration of the cycle depending on when we were born. So, for example, if you were born in 1970, if you look at that, 9 and 1 is 10, plus 7 is an 8. I think that's right. I think I got that right, hopefully. Um, then you're kind of 2 years behind the start of the collective cycle. So the best way to figure this out is look at your own numerology of the year you were born and where you might be. Like, are you maybe not quite there at a 1 year cycle yet? Or maybe you're even beyond the 1 year cycle. Maybe you're at like 2 or 3 where your cycle began last year. I have a friend who was born in 1973, and she moved. So she's in what, a two? She's at a 2 or 3, something like that. She moved like a year and a half ago to a new place, and she bought a house with a number one. It was like the listing on her house was 1. So she started her cycle a little faster, maybe than the collective, and some people might be a little bit behind or in different other iterations of beginnings. So the best way to figure out for you where you are in the cycle is to look back 9 years back, from 2017 to now. What changed during that cycle versus 2016, 9 years back? So I'm going to give you an example. For me, starting in 2017, I got into nutrition. I really did a deep dive into nutrition. I went gluten free. I started to try to cook healthy recipes, and that spanned into going to herbal school, which spanned into going to Ayurvedic school, which all has to do with permaculture and herbs and nutrition and food sourcing. So that was a huge theme for me over the last 9 years. That was one theme that was pervasive, let's say. So you might have some other theme that has happened over the last 9 years that's specific to you. So you can kind of look at that. And by the way, I just want to throw out there just like a um, niggle, I don't know if that's a word, but I want to do a workshop someday, a workshop series that looks at cycles and our own lives and patterning and where we're at in cycles and also kind of a offshoot of that is locus of control. Like, what do we have control over in our lives that we can build on? And what do we not have control over in our lives that we can let go of? Um, so I think that that's one of the themes that seems to really come forth in my mind's eye as I move into not only 2026, but also since 2020 is where does sovereignty come in? Where does authenticity, sovereignty, autonomy come in? So let's let's talk about some of what I got. So number one, hard work will pay off. So it's really going to be necessary for us to dig deep and to do the work. And if we do, we will start to see the rewards in 2026. Maybe rewards that were not forthcoming in the last few years. They're going to start to really take shape. Compassion and patience will be necessary. We will need to have compassion for our fellow man. Maybe they're in a different space than we're in. They're coming from their own point of view, and to not judge as much as we can avoid it, and to be patient, to show patience for others and also for ourselves. The third theme is hope is going to be necessary for fellow man. We might have feelings of disillusionment about where people are at, and we just need to kind of hold on to hope. The fourth thing is dig deep. Excuse me. Last year, the word move came up, and I was like, do I move my body? Do I move my house? And it ended up being both. So dig deep. I don't know what that means. Maybe like dig deep into things, but also maybe literally dig deep into the earth. So that's number four. Number five could sound scary, but I think there's a couple double meanings. Anarchy is a possibility. So that's a theme that has come up for several years now that anarchy could happen, and it hasn't, fortunately. So I was thinking that maybe it still won't happen, but anarchy could also mean where you are self-governing, where you go your own way and you self-govern. Number six is follow the footsteps of greatness, of people that you've admired. So really try to follow the path of those individuals who you've admired, not only personally, but people from the collective who have been in the collective. Grave decisions will need to be made. Number seven, grave decisions will need to be made. That's kind of a heavy one. Number eight is hop, skip, and a jump. All I could think of is like timelines where we might need to kind of jump into better timelines. And what does that mean? Well, that means really not get caught up in the minutia of the collective and increase our own sovereignty and authenticity and happiness by kind of going into another vortex than what could be coming down the pipeline in the collective, which is not only going to be like illumination, but also I think a lot of maybe some projection and like being upset with other people, but like not even realizing that is stuff that they've done before. So I think for all of us to be really cognizant of not pointing the finger because really it's probably a Byron Katie thing where we need to kind of point the finger at ourselves instead of pointing the finger outward. Um, Fever alchemy will be needed to make the leap. So, really doing the inside work will be needed in order to make the leap into more positive timelines and ways of being. Number 10, there will be invisible helpers behind the scenes. And I really think that all hands are on deck right now. There are very um, many literal people in our lives that are helping us, but there's also like individual beings from like angelic realms and ETs and those of higher consciousness who are really trying to help us as we navigate this time of great change. Number 11 is never forget what you have already experienced. Okay, this is a great one. So we don't want to re-experience the lessons we've already experienced. We want to learn from the past. We want to learn from our mistakes. We want to see past experience, be it good or bad, for the wisdom we can garner from it and not have to go through it again in another iteration if we don't have to. Number 12, build this church upon this rock. So, really building your own platform of sustenance from a spiritual perspective. And also, we don't need to necessarily be evangelists, but we can set good examples. Number 13, electric cars will be more of a thing. And electric cars, I think, were like the template of what they were talking about with changes in transportation systems. Okay, now let's take a look at what I did get today in the Akashic Record as themes, 10 themes for coming up. When the snow falls, there will be changes in the air. When the snow falls, there'll be changes in the air. Count on it. Two, false saviors that, excuse me, there could be people coming into, well, it's kind of interesting that I just noticed that light up there. I don't know, it's just seems like it's shining a little brighter. There could be like false gods, false Jesus people that are popping into the scenes that are protecting or the pretending to be saviors, and they could be individuals who are just trying to take people's autonomy and sovereignty by, taking their um, self-governance by saying, hey, just rely on me, I'll lead you to the promised land, that kind of thing. When really the promised land will be us leading ourselves, um, in my opinion. So be careful of false saviors. Number 3, autonomy is key, that we need to be autonomous. Number 4, forgiveness is possible when you let go of the past. So, in order to forgive, we need to let it go. We need to let things go. Number 5, Jesus never left us. He's been here the whole time. He will be made more visible as we open our hearts. So Jesus is here. He resides in our hearts. As we open our hearts, he'll become more visible from the inside out. And he would never want to take our sovereignty from us. Like he wants us to be autonomous, sovereign beings. He's just the bridge between the human and the divine. And he's the example that we are to follow ourselves. Scrolls of time need to be reviewed for better understanding. So we really need to go back through history and get a better look of what really happened. Um, Number seven, the separation of the wheat from the chaff will be made more visible. So there'll be more of a splitting, a bifurcation between that which has credence and sustenance in individuals and also in non-individuals in everything. That we'll be able to see what will stand the test of time and who will stand the test of time. Number eight, internet technology will explode this year. No surprise. Number nine, exploring space will be made more possible. Number 10, even with changes, there will be something about this year that will be more stable, something that we've already seeded. So we've already really started to plant the seeds, many of us, for what's coming. And last year, or this past year, has been a year of, I think, a lot of instability, a lot of kind of like a it's been like a grading of the old and the new, like endings and beginnings. And next year is going to be more just kind of like things in the past will have obviously died, and we will have to make the leap into the future, especially if we're born with birthdays that equal a 1 year. Now, even to make it a little more confusing, if you have a 1 year birthday, that 1 year is going to start most definitely at your solar return, which will be right after your birthday. So if you were born in 1963, for example, let's say you were born in April of 1963, then your new beginning will especially be highlighted after your birthday in April. Now, we all have our own internal clocks and timelines. Some people just naturally move much quicker, and other people naturally move slower. So, new beginnings for many of us have already started, and they'll just take greater shape, and they'll be the start of the next 9 years. And for other people who take their time, who really root in, these changes might not really be so obvious this year for you or them. So again, looking back at the pattern over the last 9 years, what has the pattern been? Was 2017 a really big new beginning for you in some thematic way? If that's the case, then another thematic um, beginning is going to be happening very soon. So thanks for watching. I may make another video before the end of the year. But if I don't, Happy New Year.